We're ready to go.
Okay, great. Okay, you guys, I want to welcome you to our Level Up tips and tricks, tips and tricks of how to improve and create your websites. I am Shemaine, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've worked as a graphic designer for over 25 years. Actually, it's longer than that, but I just thought 35 plus years didn't sound so great, so I used 25 plus years. I have experience as a full stack web developer, 8 years of that. And the most important thing is that I am a mom to 2 beautiful children, Jasmine and Kimani. My clients tend to be entrepreneurs, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations. And I really try to help clients build their client base by designing logos, creating brands, and building full web presences. And today we're going to focus on websites, and I'm going to share my tips to help you with your process. So for now, I want to just spend a moment to say thank you to the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce, especially under the leadership of our president, Ms. Kathy Adams. I am a member. Jeannie, she's also a member. Dr. Jeannie Asante, she is our Director of Technology at the OAACC. She's the one who's behind the scenes really coaching and leading us in our technology endeavors, along with our strong our strong social media presence. So Dr. Jeannie Asante, thank you so much for assisting me today. If you could please let me know when our president comes online, that would be great. So what we're going to go through today is really the process of your online presence. You know, we're going to talk about your content, the actual process to put together that content, how you can drive traffic to your site, my resources that I use. You know, we're going to go through a simple funnel that I use, and next steps, and I'm going to share my resources. So what I'm really doing today, I'm giving you a preview of what I've come in contact with throughout the years and working with a very diverse group of clientele, and the challenges that I find my clients or the people that come to me that they experience over and over again. So you guys are going to get a sense of like the backside of what I do, and I'm hoping that it's going to help you with your client-facing endeavors. So one of the first things we're going to talk about is preparedness. And that's part of your process, your workflow. A lot of times, it happens almost every other client, it feels like. By the time they think about their website, they go in and they try to get that domain name under their business name. It has already been taken. And I always try to tell my clients, don't let someone else take your business domain name. We do a lot of shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I encourage everybody to just do it. So you just want to be part of the hey, I already did that conversation. So I recommend domains.google.com. And again, any link or recommendation you see in the PowerPoint, you will receive this presentation along with this resource page afterwards. But the reason why I recommend domains.google.com, and I do not have a dog in the fight, there's no affiliate links with domains.google.com, is because I see clients, they go through these processors, domain processors. They spend $1, $2, $3, $4, and they may buy up 10, 20 of them. That's great, but what happens is that when you come to me, or you're going outside of their what we call website builders, then you go into this whole situation where these are just houses in Eastern Europe where they're, they have their servers up in their homes, and then it's a business. They roll them out. So let's just say you come to me and you want to host the site somewhere else. Number one, you can't move your site easily, if you can move it at all. Number two, whereas if you register your domain and host your domain in the US, when you change it, it's going to be up and running within 10 minutes, 30 minutes. But when you're working outside the country, I've had clients of most recent experience where it took literally 4 days. And within that 4 days, the site was totally down. So because it had to what we call propagate, which means that, throughout the world, you can literally see the lights come on for the website. It literally literally lights up. So when you talk about preparedness, if you are starting a business, you haven't already purchased the business license, or you're thinking about the name, at the same time that you're thinking about the name and you settle on the name, make sure that the name is available for the domain. So the next step, obviously, is once you purchase that domain, you start thinking about, okay, well, so the website, how can I get started on the website? So this process and these recommendations, whether you decide to use a developer or whether you decide to use a website builder. So website builders tend to be your Squarespace website builders, your Wix. I think GoDaddy has website builders. The process pretty much can still be the same, and it does not just pertain to a WordPress site. So I build sites on a WordPress framework. So, but the process, you don't have to worry about it. You can use this process for any website builder that you may choose. So, clients, they always ask, how many pages should my site have? And I always like to say that, while every business is, unique, and you guys have different clients, you have different expectations, the actual information that you're going to provide each and every client, regardless of the industry, it pretty much stays the same. Obviously, it's, your home page, your about us page, your services page if you offer services, your products page if you offer products, FAQ, testimonials, or review pages, contact page because they have to be able to get in contact with you, a blog, press, news, privacy, and terms and conditions. So I'm not going to go through, in detail regarding each and every page. I am going to focus a little bit more on the home page because that is the window to your business. But I do want to just say a couple of things. You do not have to have an FAQ page, because what I tend to do, I tend to create FAQs and add them to a page for my clients. Because people, they're not going to click on an FAQ page, but if it's right there, they're going to read them because, people tend to have the same questions. Testimonials, reviews, then again, they're not going to necessarily click on a testimonial review page, but we incorporate them into the actual website, excuse me, the actual pages of the website. Blog, you may say, I don't need a blog. A blog is the best way to get seen and heard, and it keeps your content fresh. Press and news, you may not have any press and news, so obviously you don't need the site. Privacy policy, terms and conditions. Every website legally should have a privacy policy and terms and conditions page, because you have to let people know how you view their privacy, whether or not you take their privacy seriously, especially in this day and age. And you also need the terms and conditions just to legally protect your business. There's very, very many privacy policy and terms and conditions machines. When I say machines, I mean that, you can just get a customized privacy policy and terms and conditions content copy for you. You just plug in some information and it gives you all of that legalese. Some of them are free, some of them you pay for. So when clients come to me and they say, hey, I don't really know what pages I need, or, how do I kind of list it out? Because a lot of times they just really don't know where to start. You can start with something as simple as writing it out on a piece of paper or using a Word document, or it doesn't have to be fancy at all. When clients come to me and I onboard them, I actually introduce them to Trello, which is a project management system that I use once a lead becomes a client and they sign a contract. And so as you can see in the left, this is an actual client board. I'm letting them know this is your client board. Here's the policies and procedures, the hours that I work, and blah, 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 how to communicate. They plug in their client information, the social media links, and all the information that I need. And I want to focus in on website page listings. This is where, if you go look to the right, this is where, she lists out all of her pages. And she gives, she gave them to me, so I didn't have to guess. And then, if I had questions about the pages, this is actually a rebrand. So, I could see on the site what the pages are, so there's really no questions about it. And I see that, she actually has news. So normally what I do is once I take a look at this and even your web designer, they'll ask questions about, okay, do we really need a separate page? What do you want to put on your news page? And so on and so forth. But the point I'm trying to make is that it does not have to be a complicated process. It's just a page listing. And then you start from there and you branch out to your own particular services and your own particular products. So I mentioned before that I'm going to focus a little bit more on the home page because it is the most important single page that you can develop other than your About Us page. Now, when I talk about the About Us, don't go to my website and look at my About Us page because I took mine down. So it's one of those cases where do as I say and not as I do. So it's the home page is the first page that people will see. Study after study shows that you only have 0.05 seconds to convince people to stay on your site. And in the latest slide, I'm going to show you what that looks like. But with one glance, people should be able to know who you are and what your company does. It should be, the content copy should be intriguing, and it should be able to capture people's attention within seconds of landing on that home page. It needs to be well-designed, load fast, and look professional. So what this translates to is that a homepage is not the place where you put your entire biography, unless you're a writer. And even then, I would advise against it. A homepage should not take more than a second to load. You visit sites and you're just, looking at your phone and you're just waiting for everything to pop up. That is not good for anybody because you're going to lose your audience at that point. So what makes a homepage a good homepage? So again, I've mentioned it before. At a glance, you should tell people what you do. I use my homepage as an example because I can recommend things to my clients, but they don't always take my advice. So it just so happens that the OAACC took my advice, but at a glance, my website tells people what I do. I build websites and I build brands. For the OAACC, especially, we had to switch the messaging around pretty fast because, with the COVID-19. So they really wanted the messaging to be, hey, we are open for business and our members are open for business. And you get this messaging right away up front. Now, what you don't see, because I can only capture that the top part of the website, the heading area, is you want to add a short description of who you are and or your business, and with a brief explanation of the services you provide. I like to use bullet points. I love to use images, and you want to tell people how you can help them and why they should stick on your page and use you. So again, always keep it simple, simple, simple. If you don't have the words to tell the story, then let your imagery tell the story. So I think that I I think that before we continue, I was supposed to ask a question, a poll, Jeannie, and it's the first poll to find out how many people are actually have websites, I believe. Can you set the poll up? So you guys, can you answer the question? Okay, great. Okay, great. Oh, wow, a lot of you guys already have websites. Great. Okay, can you show the results, Jeannie? Okay, so we can leave it up for a minute. So it's interesting because this information can definitely be used for a refresh, rebrand. I'm actually in the midst of refreshing my site, not rebranding it, but refreshing it. But you won't see that from the front page. You have to kind of dig deep. And all of my new landing pages are part of the new refresh. So when, a lot of times I hear, hey, I don't know what to write, especially for a new site or even a refresh. And so this really speaks to people that are refreshing their site. I recommend asking yourself, this one question. If you could have 10 new clients today, but they all had to be a clone of one of your existing clients, who would that existing client be? And the reason why I say this is because if you could, you write for your number one client. And so you want that client to be the most profitable and agreeable person that you have. They're a pleasure to work with. They refer you new business. They pay on time, which is really important. And, and you genuinely like to work with them. You want more of them. So build your website for that number one client and nobody else. A lot of times people are afraid of alienated or potentially losing, their other clients. And, my question is, if you've identified who your number one client is, doesn't it make sense for them to focus on just attracting more of them? And, this is something that I actually went through a few years ago. And, I did lose my client base, but guess what? I got more clients that looked like my number one client. And it was a huge turning point for my business. So that is how you start, that's how you start writing when you're thinking about content and writing and preparing. These are little tidbits that I like to share because they have helped me tremendously. So before I get into this, the tools that I use when I'm brainstorming regarding, website and what needs to go on the page or may not go on the page, do you guys have any questions? Do you have any comments? Because I realize I've been doing a lot of talking. Jeannie, is it open up for everybody? Okay.
Yeah, it is. And Kathy, Devona raised her hand. So you can unmute yourself, Devona.
Thank you. Hi, Charmaine. Quick question. So if you have an existing site and you want to get it rebranded or refreshed, does that equal a complete rewrite, meaning that you may have to terminate whatever contract or whatever you have with your existing brand or hosted website? Does it have to be scrapped and you have to write it, start from scratch, or what does that look like?
So it's two different things you're bringing up. If you're using a website builder, mm-hmm. and you want to move that site from your website builder and start over again, then yes, you do have to kind of scrap, because a website builder will not let you take their website someplace else. Okay. But if you're talking about content, then no. Let's just say you're working on a WordPress platform. Mm-hmm. What you don't ever want to do is to take down a site, because developers, we have to write what we call 301s. So that means that if somebody goes to your site, let's just say Devona's eating plan, and it is no longer there, they're going to get the 404. This page no longer exists. But what 301s do, they redirect to, they map out to the new page.
Got it.
You can't really do that. I know with page builders, that's kind of challenging, but you know, I haven't looked at them lately, obviously, but it's something that, you know, think about. Let's talk offline and I can just give you some more advice, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I think I saw some other questions. Anything else in the chat, Jeannie?
Yeah. Oh, so Buza, you raised your hand as well. You can unmute yourself if you want to ask or type it in the chat.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So I had a question. So I'm using Squarespace, right? And then I searched a domain name and on Squarespace to see if it was available, and it was available. So my domain name if I'm using it on Squarespace, does that mean that I own? If I leave Squarespace, does that mean that I still own that name?
What is your URL? Like if I wanted to go to your website right now, tell me the name.
It's everydaycelebritymedia.com.
And so you own that domain, so you can take it. You can take it with you. If you
on Squarespace, they said you're paying like a monthly fee to do Squarespace, right?
Yes.
So if you leave Squarespace and just like stop paying them, does that mean that that name belongs to them? That's what I'm confused about.
No, you should own the domain. Jeannie, are you familiar with Squarespace?
Yeah, that's like Wix. So you still own it. All you're doing after that is paying someone to host it, but you still own it as long as you keep registering it when it comes up for renewal every year.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can always transfer the registration out, the registrar out, if you choose to. So it's just like, I think if you want to transfer, when I transfer my client's registrar from whomever they're using to domains.google.com, there's a $12 transfer fee. And I always encourage everyone, when you're buying your domains, don't buy for the year, buy for 3-5 years, because Google likes to see that when it comes to driving traffic, okay? So, you know, I think it's, with Google, it's $12 a year. For 3 years, it's $36, I think. I'm not good at math, but I have been learning math again, teaching my 9-year-old son. So it's a very affordable investment at one time. So, I hope I answered your questions without rambling too much.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so you guys, we're about to get into like the nut and bolts. So, and I have 30 minutes. So one of the things I'm doing, I mentioned that I'm currently doing a refresh of my site. So I like to do what's called brain dumps, and I use MindMeister because they're great. And you know, what the site will look like after this, I don't know, but I just dumped everything I thought I wanted to talk about. Some of this I'll pull, don't necessarily put on the site, but we'll use it more as categories for my emails and, you know, my blog. And some of it will never see the light of day except right here. But it's a great tool that I use, and I recommend that if you don't have like a, you know, remember when we were in school and they were like, oh, just throw everything out. Whatever you think about, put it down. This is just the online version of that. So I keep forgetting that I'm like controlling my own PowerPoint. So another tool I use is Evernote. And I keep so much information in Evernote. I think I hit the amount of notes I have in here, but it's great for writing, especially if you have the premium edition and you're on your phone. Some of my best ideas happen when I'm driving, so I can dictate into Evernote what I want to say. So, and it's great for me to help me with my actual processes. So one of the last things I want to talk about in this section is photography. Images and photography, you guys, they're more important than content in a lot of ways. And the reason why I say that is because with photography and images, that's what's going to keep people on your website. Not great wordsmithing. It's, you know, how people can connect with your brand and with your voice. So I tend to use a mix of stock photography and real photographs. So this is an event, and we had a professional photographer come in to take images. And, you know, with 3 images, you can really get a sense of the event, you know, and it tells the story. So you can never tell a story with stock images like you can with a real photographer. And we have some really good ones in the Bay Area. One of them is Carmichael Images. Eric, I've used him even in my role as a board member for the 100 Black Women. And I cannot tell you how easy it is to work with his images when I'm designing or putting together a brand kit for clients. He just, he has a way of really capturing the brand or the voice of clients. So I don't know if he's on the call or not, you know, but that's my pump up to Eric for the day. And when you're dealing with stock photography, you know,
You have a question?
Yes.
Would you say videos hold the same weight as photos?
Oh, yes, 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 yes. But keep in mind that when you're dealing with videos, there's a way that you need to put them on the website. And I see a lot of people, they don't necessarily do it the right way. But if you have a question or you're using video, definitely let's talk offline and I can give you, you know, some suggestions. So with images, you know, I encourage clients to tell a believable story. There are certain images that I would never use. For example, you know, any of these images I would never use. You know, they look like stock images. They're not realistic. You know, the homeless man, he's supposed to be homeless, but, you know, he's in a suit, he's clean in front of the flag, the big, you know, the big light bulb, whatever. You know, it just says stock photography all over it. So for my brand and for my voice, it's not realistic for me. And I would encourage all of you guys, if you're going to go this route to up your game, don't necessarily choose free images, but, you know, make the investment for premium images. I think I have a couple of photographers on the call. And what I have been encouraging my photographer friends, including my daughter, who's a professional photographer, last year in school at CCA, that's my little plug into her, is even if you can't take images at events or your clients, there's certain things that we do need for our websites and our social media. And that's, you know, images where we're at our desk and we're, you know, we're letting people into our personal life. And even if you set up, you know, a desk, whatever, and take those type of shots, they can still be used. So during this time is a good way of branching out and outside of your comfort zone. So now we're going to get into the fun part. You know, driving traffic to your website. Now, do you guys, I see a lot of chat before I get into this portion of the training. Jeannie, is there anything I should be aware of?
Not in the chat, but we just had a question. The chat was for the panelists, but we have a question on how you can use real images if your business is new and not open yet.
Well, then how you choose images is your brand. So your brand will tell you which images to choose. What type of business do you have?
Hi, it's an indoor playground for kids.
Oh, great. So, you know, then you would choose images of, obviously, of children playing, having fun, Do you have a brand or you have a logo?
I do have a logo.
Okay, so a logo and a brand is not one and the same. So a brand tells your story. It creates the story of your business. And I think I have a blog article about logo. Your logo is not your brand. If you could just send an email, I'll send you the blog article along with resources for your images. Okay, that you can choose from, how you can choose them.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just my process of choosing images for my clients. So I hope it works for you. Okay, Jeannie, can I go on?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now we're getting to, driving traffic to your site. And I think that some of you guys are going to be pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised by what I have to offer. So the number one misconception, Google Analytics. Google Analytics will not and does not drive traffic to your site. It only shows you what's happening, how well or how poorly your site is doing. I am a strong believer in data, decisions made with fact. So with Google Analytics, it gives you enough data so you can make an educated decision on how to optimize traffic and drive traffic to your site. The number one goal is to get visitors to stay on your site. This drives search performance with Google. Search engine optimization and Google Analytics are two very different things. So what I do is, and what I encourage you guys to do, whether you use me or you're using a website builder, is configure your site to meet the very minimum of Google. I don't do bare minimum, by the way, but meet the minimum Google specifications. So even if you do the minimum Google specifications, there's zero guarantee that it will perform well. So the biggest takeaway that you guys can get from this is build a foundation so that your website can perform. So, that's like one of those like mic drop moments, because with Google's bare minimum specifications, what it does is that it generates organic traffic. And for those of you who do not know, organic traffic is unpaid search results. So if you guys were on Jeannie's call yesterday and even 2 weeks ago, and what she will tell you regarding social media, this is not, the same does not apply to website and driving organic traffic. So a couple of things, she said regarding social media, I am saying something different regarding organic traffic, okay? And so, so what you want to do to generate organic traffic, and this is what Google pays attention to when it comes to getting those search results. You want to provide useful content so visitors will share with others. So the same concept applies to social media, but I believe that right now, Jeannie, please correct me if I'm wrong, with Facebook, you really don't get a lot of, before when you shared a post, people saw it. I don't really see that happening anymore. But with websites, it's a different ball game. So, Google has what we call the Google Spider. And it's how to get, and what you want to do is the Google Spider is how Google finds your content. And I always try to be very region specific, meaning that I try to create evergreen content, and I'm optimizing certain content for very geo-specific keywords. So I'm going to write more articles with specific keywords. For example, web developer in California. I'm going to use that throughout the article whenever I can. Web development in the US, web design, San Francisco Bay Area, web design and development in Oakland. And so what that does is that I'm using pretty much the same words, but I'm mixing them up, using them in different ways, but I'm definitely not using them all in the same article. 4 very different articles, 4 different with different content. So that is one way that, and it's a very good way that you drive traffic to your website through organic Google search, but it does not happen overnight. If anybody tells you that it can happen overnight, they are a lie, and the truth is not in them. And so, you know, you start seeing there's people that write very, very good content for as professionals, but they really don't start seeing that content being driven for years later. If you ever go to Google search, and let's just say you're typing in training in Oakland, and you know the Experience, which is a company in Oakland, a personal trainer, their article comes up that they wrote 5 years ago. That's the reality. 3 years ago, that's the reality. An article that they wrote last month will not come up. So really, you know, you have to be in it for the long game and not the short term. So, you know, that is the best thing. So that's like my number one advice for driving traffic regarding Google. And it's, remember, Google Analytics is not the same as organic search. Google Analytics does not drive traffic to your site. All it does is give you the information like this beautiful graph to help you make decisions regarding your website. So this is a client website. The client is not using, they're not writing the blog. They're not really driving traffic to the site for the past week. Before that, the numbers looked a lot better because they were driving traffic, but they made the decision to drive traffic to Zoom instead, which is why you guys signed up with Zoom and not a website. So what I'm gonna explain to you what all this means. So the sessions, you see 160 sessions, you see that that's down, which is in line with the decision that was made previously. Sessions are just visitors, people visiting the site during a certain time frame. The users are people who have visited multiple times, some of them. Page views are pages on the site that have been navigated to. So, you know, that's a good thing because it shows that, you know, people are not just coming on the site and then dropping off. They're actually navigating through the site. And, you know, you'll see all of this is down because we're really not driving traffic to this particular site. Page sessions is the amount of time on average people spend on any given page. The average session is the total time spent on the website. You know, it can be smaller than the page sessions because most visitors don't browse the site. This is the number one thing that I want to emphasize is this bounce rate. It indicates the rate in which people leave the site once they come to the site. So, you know, people who don't click, scroll, or do anything. So a 51.25% bounce rate is actually good. Anything over 70 is horrible. So a new website, you know, when you're speaking to people about your site or, you know, you're thinking about your website, you want to see a plan that offers to lower this number and it should not elevate it. So even if you're not using a web developer or designer, get Google Analytics installed on your site so you can start tracking your analytics, because you cannot make informed decisions about traffic or driving traffic, keeping traffic, converting that traffic into customers without the data. So I know I just said a lot. Do you guys have any questions before I go on? Okay, so I think I just lost Jeannie for a moment. So I'm gonna, oh, you here?
There were no questions.
Okay, great. So in conclusion, Google Analytics GA, it's very complicated. You know, if you have the time, and I mean days, which turns into weeks, which turns into months, which turn into years, tackle it, become the expert. I recommend that you hire a professional who's been looking at, you know, the vertical for years. That's actually not me, but I can refer you to a really good guy who does it. But one thing that you can do today, and I actually talk about this in my little ebook, which is free, is, you know, you can post on social media every day with a picture, and make sure you include a link back to your website with every single post, which is different from what Jeannie said yesterday. So, you know, we have to, you know, Jeannie, you and I should talk about that. So, you know, Google wants to see activity. And I do want to say that whatever I say in regards to this portion is with the lens of getting traffic to the website. So I'm not thinking about Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and, you know, all their different rules and what works there and what doesn't work. I'm just thinking about the Google lens right now. So Google wants to see activity. So search engine performance starts to improve with activity. Performance starts to improve. So because you have to track the activity. So the activity that you're doing is, if it's not performing, why are you doing it? And you can only make that decision with the data. So now is the steps to create a very simple funnel. I did not call this a click funnel because it's not a click funnel, because I don't use click funnel. So that's why I called it a simple funnel. So for those of you who do not know, a funnel consists of steps a visitor needs to go through before they can reach to conversion. For me, it's the steps that people get to know my business before they become a client. So this is what I have, two that I use. This is my lead magnet. And this is a very simple way of tracking out what happens from the first touch. Now, even to get to this point, what I did is I used sticky notes, because you really have to think through each and every step. That's very real. And so, so the lead magnet begins when a subscriber is added to these segments, right? And this is actually the lead magnet to my ebook. So they click, they type in their name and email address. I have their information. And when this happens, it triggers the email with the ebook. And, you know, of course, I have to be cute and say something cute. And I use Flowdesk for this, and they have some really great copy that I was able to use. And so I send them the email, the freebie. Then I wait 3 days, and then I send them another email, and I talk about, you know, the stuff that I've been up to. And I share any news that I want to share. Now, this happens all automatically, so I'm not really in front of the computer typing every time somebody signs up. This goes on in the background. And then after this, you know, they're added to my email list, and they get my, my Level Up email every 2 weeks. And what happens is that based on this, the two things happen. You know, they continue to receive my email, they don't unsubscribe, or they call me up because they have a project they want me to work on. So for me, this has been wonderful. And it's not overly complicated. I am not a huge proponent of sending people email after email after email talking about my story and always offering $3.99 products, $7.99 products. That's just not me. So I urge everyone to be true to who they are and their business model, and to, you know, go from there. So will I ever be the, you know, hey, I'm going to get 10,000 people to buy my $2.99 ebook person? Maybe not, but that's really not my model. So the other funnel is my welcome sequence. So when someone signs up via Facebook, they get an email, a little note, the subject, hi, their friend. And I don't touch them again for 30 days, where I tell them what to expect from me and the type of emails that I send. And from there, they get added to my email list, and they start receiving emails every 2 weeks. So these are two very simple funnels that, you know, anybody can start within a day. And, you know, what you do is, you know, you tweak it. I think I spent the weekend putting together these funnels because, you know, you do have to write the content. You have to think about what you're offering. You have to think about your voice, your messaging. And, you know, everything that I send out, actually work with 3 editors to make sure that my voice is consistent. And I tend to come up with things to write about based on experience or while I'm in the car driving. And actually, you know, I should say thank you to my twin sister because she's the best editor that I have. She has a way of keeping my words true to myself. But I also have another good friend who's a writer, Imani Michelle Gamble. I hope she doesn't mind because I am going to give everybody her information. She is a wonderful editor and a writer, which is very much needed and very affordable. And she's local. So one of the things is that, you know, challenges that people have, they have a challenge when it comes to building their email list. And they can't get people to get on their email list because they're not signing up. You know, people are visiting the site, but they're not returning. Subscribers are unsubscribing or not opening. So the solution actually, you know, the solution is funnels. Because I do think that funnels build relationships and community. I personally don't just sell. So that's my business choice. Will I offer, you know, my offerings? Yes, of course, but my emails and funnels don't sell. It just kind of opens up a window to who I am as a woman, a business owner, a mom, and just a, you know, human. So I shared, it was hard for me to make the decision to share these results because, you know, my clients, I don't see these results with my clients at all. And the reason being is because, you know, my clients tend to send emails full of flyers about, you know, other things, or they just may sell. I don't know. I don't analyze it. But I do want to say that I think one of the reasons why I have such a good open rate is because my content is relatable and I don't sell. The sales will come. And that's my philosophy for my business, but every business is different. So what I did is I gave you the subject line and then I just showed you the open rate. So one of the very first emails I sent out was on a personal, the one all the way to the right. And, you know, that started off with a really high open rate. The second email was, the subject line was when a web developer hijacks your site and other news. This was my response to COVID to our clients and friends. And the last one I just sent out on Wednesday, I send mine out every 2 weeks. You know, it was just like, you know, another day, another email. And I actually advertised this class in that one. So, you know, hopefully I can continue to, you know, have the right formula to get people to open it up and to read my emails. I tend to keep them very short and sweet and hopefully relatable. So resources, we talked about resources, and I'm going to give you guys email addresses and websites so you can go to regarding, you know, some of the people that I use and some of the resources that I use. So most of my images come from subscriptions, so I pay for them. You know, these are right now, these are the 3 top ones that I use. I think Adobe is probably in the new direction I'm going. I'm using Adobe photography less and less. But one of the resources I love is Unsplash. They're free and they tend to have really real life, high quality images that really speak to my clients' audience, my audience. Email marketing is Flowdesk. That's what I use. I don't use Constant Contact. I don't use MailChimp. I've moved from ActiveCampaign to Flowdesk because it was a lot simpler, and they did a really good job of helping me kick off my voice in writing, which is what I was looking for. Carmichael Images is the photographer that I mentioned earlier. Of course, you know, I have to throw my daughter in there, Jasmine Wofford Jones, and I can definitely share some of her images. that she's taking at events for the 100 Black women. I encourage all of you guys to follow me on social media. Wellington's Design Studios Facebook, but I'm hopefully after taking Jeannie's class, I will become better at Facebook. Instagram, I'm in and I pop in for a few weekdays. I'm good at it, but then I get busy. I think my most consistent source is my newsletter. It's every 2 weeks, so it's something that I can do. And of course, link up with me on LinkedIn. I share my information. I don't have a problem with it. I think information should be free. So, I don't mind giving away my secrets, because what you do is what you do, what I do is what I do. And and everybody they do things a little bit differently. So with that being said, I don't know how we are on time, but I definitely want to encourage you guys to ask questions and to open it up. So Jeannie?
Yeah, so we have Kalinda has a question. Kalinda gave her email, so we'll save that, but she wants to know how to set up a lead magnet, because she's trying to do this with her website. She uses Wix, but is not sure how to add that to her website. She has a lead magnet already, so she wants to know how to use it with Wix. And also, what if you don't have something to give? What lead magnet to use? So I'll hand that over to you, Charmaine.
Okay.
I can answer after you. And Kathy did join the call.
Okay, great. Okay, so I don't use Wix. I did a favor for a friend using Wix, and I said I would never use Wix because you got to pay for everything. So I can't tell you how to do that, and I apologize. I don't know it.
Jermaine, I can answer it.
Okay.
So because I use Wix, and so I can actually, so I have your email and I can help you offline. But it's easy because Wix has email marketing now too. And so you had said that you, with your business, it's an indoor kids playground. So for example, if you look online, there are probably many articles to do with kids and kids safety, and maybe writing something about what you can do, especially now with COVID-19, to protect kids, to keep things clean, and what you do, sharing tips and tricks. There are articles that you can find. You put that as something free, and then get people to join. But I will help you offline because it's very easy with Wix.
Okay, thank you.
So I do, before I answer any more questions, I do want to acknowledge Kathy Adams. She is the president of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. I have to say, without her leadership and vision, I don't think that Black businesses, the ones that are members of the OAACC, I don't think this transition would have been as palatable. So Kathy has made it, we connect with her once a month with her Let's Connect. We've been able to answer the questions that we've had. She's been able to give us really good direction because, one of the things is that we are entrepreneurs and we're used to pivoting, but I don't think any of us have pivoted quite so hard, so fast. So I don't know, Kathy, if you want to just acknowledge everyone on the call, or if I see that you're on mute, or if you're listening in. So I think that Kathy can't unmute her phone, but I will send out the deck and the video. So you guys are going to get the entire video series for our Small Business Week. So starting with Ernestine Nettles, she conducted a panel on how to get certified with the City of Oakland on Wednesday. We had our Business 101 webinar with Tracy Tate Jones. She talked about accounting basics. Yesterday, Dr. Jeannie Asante, she talked about social media. And then today, so it's four webinars during Small Business Week. And you guys will all receive the emails with the webinar, with the recordings. And so the next Let's Connect is on Wednesday, the May 20th at noon with Kathy. If you guys have not joined the OAACC email list, I suggest that you do. And I don't know if it's just for members. I don't remember. But if it is, I apologize, become a member. So, and I think that I have answered all of the questions. So please go to oacc.org if you guys want to subscribe to the email list. And of course, subscribe to me. So if no one has any other comments, I am going to give you back your day.
I did have one question.
Yes.
Before there was, I can't remember the slide that it was on, but right after you talked about the Google Spider, there was something out, the bounce rate. Yeah. Now, I have the Google Analytics, but I don't see a bounce rate. Where would I look for that?
So I will send you the link and what to look for, okay? So if you want to connect after the call, we can, you can just call me and we can do a screen share.
All right.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
So my question is, so if you have a domain name, should you if you have a domain name for your website, should you trademark that name as well? Is that important?
I think Jeannie would answer, she's better equipped to answer that particular question. I encourage, all of my clients to, because as long as you're paying for the domain, so I think maybe I can answer it. If you have a domain name, if you let that domain name go, somebody can get in and buy it, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So it's very important that, you make sure that you're registering your domain timely, which is why I suggest you do it 3-5 year increments, 10-year increments. That way you don't have to worry about it. And also, I've had a situation where an organization, they have a domain, they have a website, but their web developer purchased the website under his name, and he has disappeared. So they do not own anything because they can't prove that it's their domain. So they've lost that website and domain unless they can find the web developer. So
trademarking a name, what can you explain what that is, basically?
Well, I don't know about trademarking names. I can just speak to purchasing the domain through a registrar.
Okay.
Yes, I apologize.
That's fine. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They are two different things. So actually you could trademark a name, but someone else would still have the domain name registered. People like, there are people who that is what they do. They live to take names so that when you're ready, you have to pay them hundreds of dollars. And I had someone try and do that, and it was with a name that I wasn't married to. So he, when he said pay up, I was like, okay. And I waited a year and got my name back.
So trademarking a name, that's not really important.
That's not the domain, no.
All right, thank you.
So you guys, it's a little bit after 3, and I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, especially on a Friday, to listen to what I have to say. I really hope that it was important. I had some polls, but I totally forgot to run them, and I apologize. But one of the things I would like to do is just to send you a very simple survey to get your honest feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly, so that, I can always improve upon my presentation. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My email address, I'm going to type it in right now to everybody so that you can have it. So that's my email address, and you can definitely email me. I do respond. I have somebody on the phone. Well, she on the call. Well, she may debate that, but I do try to respond to all emails in a timely manner. So with that said, you know, you guys, we're going to end the meeting, and it has been a true pleasure.
Could you post that again?
The which one? The
It came up, but it went by. It left so fast. I didn't get it.
okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick with my contact information.
Okay, that's what I want.
Yeah, right there.
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Email from us too, and it'll have all that information.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been very wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We're gonna leave. We're gonna stay here for a minute and let everyone, you know, copy the information down. But remember, you guys are gonna get my resources with links and contact information.
Great job, Charmaine. This is Greg Young.
Oh, thank you, Greg. Thank you for attending.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is my first webinar. I think I'm not lying. I hope I'm not lying. So, but this is the first webinar for Wellington Studio. So, you know, your input, it will be, I need it. So please give it to me when you receive the survey. So I see our president. Can you speak, Kathy, before we hang up? No, she can't.
Jermaine, Eric Carmichael, question. I see you're recording this. Where can I access the recorded?
So we're going to send the recording out through email.
Health and Human Services violence. That again?
We're going to send the recording out to everybody via email.
Very good. Excellent job.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for logging in.
You're welcome.
Great job, Charmaine. Very insightful information. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Devona. Thank you for logging in. So Devona's my client. I saw her log into Jeannie's class yesterday, and I was so jealous. But guess what? She was Jeannie's client before she became my client. So they're definitely a community. Okay, you guys. So hopefully everyone has the information. Again, we're going to send the email out, and you guys have a great Friday. If you read my email on Wednesday, you know what I will be drinking this afternoon. So cheers on me.
Kathy, are you back? We see you.
We see you, but we can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, you guys. Okay, bye.